Hi guys, thank you for joining us today. My name is Kylie Brown and I lead the Grade and Resell program for Fulfillment by Amazon, or FBA. I focus on helping sellers reduce waste by giving products a second life in the used market.
Hi, I'm Megan Iguchi and I lead the returns and resale programs for FBA sellers at Amazon. I'm dedicated to helping our sellers achieve their goals in the returns and recommerce space. So today we're going to talk about your returns. Returns can be overwhelming. Processing returns can take multiple steps, making it time-consuming and complex. When your returns sit idle, it can lead to storage challenges and delays in recovering value from your inventory. That's why today we'd like to introduce you to two programs that will help you streamline your processes and maximize your profits. In today's session, we'll talk about how to use Grade and Resell and turn customer returns into revenue. Then we'll talk about returnless resolutions and how to spend less time managing returns and more time on your business. And then we'll talk to President of Hot Taco, Leslie Pearson, about her experiences with returnless resolutions. Now I'm going to hand it over to Kylie to discuss Grade and Resell.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. All right, so if you have any questions during the presentation, you can scan this QR code and submit them during, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end while we're answering some of them. Please also note that this session is being recorded and will be distributed after Accelerate. Cool. All right, so before we get started, I want to take a quick poll. So with a show of hands, how many items do you think were resold as used, liquidated, or donated by US and EU sellers with Amazon's help in 2023? Raise your hands if you think it's in between 10 and 100 million. Okay, what about 100 and 300 million? A couple of you. And how about over 300 million? All right, you guys are on it. Yes, it is C, over 300 million. It was actually nearly 368 million units last year. So what does this all mean exactly? As sustainability becomes increasingly important in today's world, buying pre-owned products allows a way for customers to make more eco-friendly choices. This not only supports sustainable consumption, but allows customers to feel good about their positive impact on the environment. Reselling items helps sellers tap into this expanding market of budget-conscious buyers. When customers return items, Amazon strives to give items a second life through resale, donation, or recycling in that order of priority. So today I'm going to highlight how Grade and Resell, which is now available to all US and EU sellers, supports this effort. So what is Grade and Resell exactly? Grade and Resell allows eligible customer returns to be graded and listed as used on Amazon.com. Before it goes through Grade and Resell, we first inspect it to see if it can be sold as new. This happens regardless of if you're enrolled in Grade and Resell. It's a standard returns process. If it can't be sold as new and it's enrolled in GNR and eligible, then we will send it through a secondary inspection where we will inspect its condition to see if it can be sold as used. If it can't be sold as used or new, we'll send it just through your next available disposition, liquidations, donations, dispose, or return to seller, just depending on the seller settings that you have set up. Now, this grading process is the exact same process that we use for Amazon-owned inventory. Now, we're going to take a really quick second to watch a video about Amazon's grading process.
Introducing Grade and Resell, an efficient grading and relisting service for returns. Now available for Fulfillment by Amazon selling partners. For all customer returned items, our returns specialists first carefully inspect and evaluate if it meets Amazon's high bar to be sold as new. This includes checking that the product matches the listing's description, identifying any damage or broken seals, checking for any signs of use, and assessing any product damage. For FBA sellers that are enrolled in Grade and Resell, our specialists perform a second inspection, thoroughly testing the condition and providing a detailed description of its condition to make it easier for customers to make a more informed decision. For electronic items, we will power on, test, and factory reset as part of the evaluation. This extra step in the grading process ensures that even the most complex products are accurately assessed, providing confidence and peace of mind for both sellers and customers. Based on the quality check, each item will be assigned one of 4 listing conditions, like new, very good, good, or acceptable. Each graded item is then listed on Amazon within the product detail pages, offering great deals on quality products while giving your return a second life. Customers love the value and peace of mind they get from knowing the exact condition of their purchase, and you benefit from a streamlined process that promotes environmental responsibility. As a seller, you can benefit too. By enrolling in the Grade and Resell program, you maximize the value of your returned items, reduce waste, and boost your bottom line. Enrolling is simple. Log into your Seller Central account, navigate to Settings, then Fulfillment by Amazon setting, then Automated Unfulfillable setting, and select Grade and Resell to get started today. Visit Seller Central to learn more and enroll in the Grade and Resell program to turn your returns into opportunities.
All right, so here we've seen how Grade and Resell can help turn your returns into revenue. Our returns specialists meticulously inspect each item, clean it, test its functionality, and assess its used condition. Items are then graded and listed with clear conditions to provide transparency for the end customers. With FBA Grade and Resell, you can turn customer returns into sales opportunities and recover value. You can give your products a second life by offering products that are assessed by Amazon associates and contributing to a circular economy. And you can save time and free up resources by streamlining your returns management process. With a faster time to market for your used items, you'll be able to just set it and forget it, and easier workload so you can focus on your core business operations while still generating incremental revenue. So as seen in the video, you can enroll through your automated unfulfillable settings. At that time, you'll also give us your price settings. So you determine the price for your used products. Basically what you do is provide a % of new for each of our 4 used conditions, like new, very good, good, and acceptable. So for example, if you provide 80% for very good, any items that are graded into the very good condition will be listed at 80% of your new price. You have complete control over these settings, and you can update them at any time. When you do update your settings, any new items graded will have those updated price settings applied. This is also the time that you can exclude ASINs if there are things that you don't think Grade and Resell will work for. Once you've completed your enrollment, items will start showing up in your Manage Your Inventory page. We pretty much take it from there. As returns are eligible and going through the program, you'll start to see them show up in your MYI page. Grade and Resell SKUs follow a standard format to help make them easier to manage. There is a standard prefix and suffix. So the prefix, amzn.gr, denotes that it was Amazon graded, and then the suffix denotes the used condition that it was graded into. So LN for like new, VG for very good, GD for good, and AC for acceptable. From there, you handle these listings like any other. You can manually update the price at a SKU level if you'd like to. You can also create removal orders, and you can see the condition notes that we add during the grading process. So you will notice that we create multiple SKUs for the same ASIN and condition combination. That's because we also add condition notes during grading. So condition notes are shown to the end customer to give them more confidence when they're purchasing used products on Amazon. The example up here is what a customer would see if they're looking at a used listing. There are 3 different types of condition notes. There is the item condition note, talking about the condition of the item. In this example, it would say, screen is like new with no visible scratches. There is the packaging condition note that describes the box or polybag. Item will come in original packaging. Another example might be item will not come in original packaging. And then the 3rd type of condition note is the accessories condition note. In this example, missing assembly hardware. So it can be any combination of these 3 different condition note types. These are the same condition notes that we apply for any Amazon-owned items as well, just to give customers a little bit more confidence as they're buying used on Amazon. There are 2 Grade and Resell specific reports that are available to you. The first one is the Grade and Resell report. This is basically your grading report. So it lets you know what went through the Grade and Resell program, if it was successfully graded into new, used, or not. and what used condition we graded it into. You can also track it back to the original customer order ID, as well as see the new SKU that was generated. The next report is the FBA Grade and Resell Analytics page, which is a new analytics page to track your overall performance of grade and resell. This page has key metrics like net recovered value, how many sales you've had, your total sales revenue, and your net recovered percent to help you understand how grade and resell is performing for your business. Now, one of the most important metrics on this page is the net recovered percentage. So I'm going to walk you guys really quickly through how we calculate that. So it's your used sales minus the fees divided by the new sales price. There are 3 major fees associated with grade and resell. There's the grade and resell fee, the referral fee, and the fulfillment fee. Referral and fulfillment fees are standard fees charged only on items that are sold. You guys should be familiar with those, I imagine. The grade and resell fee is a size and weight-based fee ranging from $1.50 to $4.60. That is charged only if we successfully list the item as used. So if an item goes through grade and resell and it doesn't meet our used criteria, we won't charge the fee for this even though it was graded. Yes, it's available on the help page, yes. Cool. All right, so now that you've heard a little bit about grade and resell, what it is, how it works, and the value the program can generate for you, I'm going to leave you guys with some quick key takeaways on why you should enroll. So first, the ball is in your court when it comes to recovery because you determine all of the pricing for your used products. Second, it's less time spent managing and processing returned items in your warehouses and facilities. Third, we get your used items faster to market because we in-house grade at the time that the return is being processed and add it back to your FBA account. And finally, we can help you grow and scale your business even further by tapping in to more environmentally conscious customers that are increasingly buying used and pre-owned. With that said, I'm going to invite Megan back onto the stage to talk about how you can recover less time managing, spend less time managing physical returns with returnless resolutions.
Thank you, Kylie. So as I mentioned earlier, managing your returns can be overwhelming, complex, and time-consuming. So we've launched FBA Returnless Resolutions, an optional program for FBA sellers selling in the US. With returnless resolutions, you can streamline your returns management so that you can focus more time on business growth. This program allows you to offer a refund to a customer without requiring them to send the inventory back to you. If you have had access to Fulfilled by Merchant, you know that Returnless Resolutions has been available for you for quite a while. That's why we're excited to extend Returnless Resolutions to FBA selling partners and their returns. So what is in it for you? Well, first thing is you'll save on the fees typically associated with FBA returns. So the first one being the high return rate fee. So successful returnless resolutions are not charged the high return rate fee. In addition, successful returnless resolutions are not included in the calculation for the high return rate fee. The second fee is the customer return processing fee for apparel and shoes, not charged for returnless resolutions. And then the third is any of the fees associated with removing your inventory back from Amazon's warehouses no longer apply. So returnless resolutions are not charged the fees like remove and dispose fees. The second savings is you'll start saving on the costs of restocking your inventory. So materials like boxes, bags, labels for restocking a returned item can incur additional expenses for you. Avoiding returns reduces your need for these types of materials. In addition, if you have been sending the inventory back to yourselves, you're likely processing that inventory as well. So unboxing, examining it, checking for the condition of the returned item, possibly refurbishing, repairing, or cleaning it, and then reboxing it again to ship back off or prepare it to go to a downstream recovery channel. Returnless resolutions bypasses all of those steps, leading to direct labor savings. The third one is the most fun, the administrative tasks. So handling returns involves administrative tasks like updating and reconciling your inventory management systems. These tasks require time that you can then reallocate to more productive areas of your business. Not all products are eligible for returnless resolutions. So ineligible products are not offered to customers as a returnless resolution. This includes dangerous goods like hazmat, recalled products, gift cards, in general, any non-returnable products, heavy and bulky items, and items with an ASP over $75. In addition, only sellers in good standing as defined and determined by Amazon may enroll in returnless resolutions. So that's for products. I actually want to talk about the customer eligibility because I think that this is the most important piece. For returnless resolutions, if we see a customer with a history of abuse, they're ineligible to receive a returnless resolution. So we don't offer to them at all. We're constantly monitoring returnless resolution refund requests for signs of abuse. And if we see them, we flag that customer and they're no longer ineligible to receive returnless resolutions. Returnless resolutions are not unconditionally approved. That means all of the eligibility criteria we've talked about between inventory and sellers, and most importantly, customers, must be met before we offer a returnless resolution on your behalf. So with those eligibility restrictions, that means that not all of your returns will be offered as returnless resolutions. So to see if you've offered a returnless resolution to a customer, you'll navigate to your FBA returns report. So that is in the FBA inventory section of Seller Central, FBA returns, and the returns orders. You'll see a report that has an item-by-item list of all of your returns. Zero in on the status portion, because that will tell you the status of your return. So in the first 0 to 60 days after a customer initiates a refund and is offered a returnless resolution, you'll see return not expected. After day 60, that status flips to customer was granted a returnless resolution. So you know that it's successfully been granted to the customer. Now let's talk about enrolling, because this is actually the easiest part of returnless resolutions. It's the setting in Seller Central. So in Seller Central, go up to your setting, which is the little gear icon in the upper right-hand corner. Go down to the FBA settings. And within FBA settings, scroll down to the returns evaluations and ownership settings, and you'll see a setting for returnless resolutions. From there, you can enable returnless resolutions or turn it on for all of your inventory, or choose ASIN by ASIN. If you choose ASIN by ASIN, just upload a CSV file with your list of ASINs to the setting itself, and the changes take effect immediately. All right, so now that you know kind of the gist of returnless resolutions, I would love to invite Leslie Pearson onto the stage about her experiences with returnless resolutions.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Leslie is the president of Hot Taco, a card game company that Leslie runs for her son, Alex, who created the very popular card game, Taco versus Burrito, when he was just 7 years old. So thank you for joining me, Leslie.
Thanks for having me. I'm so thrilled to talk about returnless resolution. I love the program.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. Can you share a little bit about yourself and Hot Taco?
Sure. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've run a couple different businesses, one of which was for a product called Good Hang-Ups. I did Shark Tank with that product and did a deal with Lori Grenier for that. And then my son came up with an idea for a card game, and now I work for him. One day he just, out of the blue, said, "Mom, I want to make a card game called Taco versus Burrito, and I want to do a Kickstarter." So we were a big game family, so we backed a lot of games on Kickstarter, just finding new games to play. But I was like, oh, did I mess him up? Because I did Shark Tank. Now he thinks any idea has to be a product that you sell. And I was like, wow, just make it on paper. Why don't you just make it on paper? Play with your friends. And he's like, no, I want to make a card game called Taco vs. Burrito, and I want to do a Kickstarter. And I was like, ooh, that's going to be a lot of work. How do you play this game? And he's like, I don't know yet, but it's called Taco versus Burrito, and I want to do a Kickstarter. So I was like, well, you know, it's going to take a lot of work to make a game and then sell it, get it made and then sell it. And he's like, well, what would it take? And to be honest, I really thought this was just going to be a moment where we're having a conversation about what it takes to take an idea, turn it into a product, and then sell it. And maybe he'd understand what I do versus, you know, just trying to help him with just the game. So we sat down and we were writing out all the things he'd have to do to get it made. And to my complete shock, he started to work on every little thing on the list. We had a dog at the time, and I rise early in the mornings on the weekends, as does he. And so the dog had to be walked. I needed coffee. So every Saturday and Sunday, we would walk down to our local coffee shop, and we would take the latest version of his game, which was all just on paper, and then another game, somebody else's game. You know, there's so many great games out there. And on the way home, he'd say, oh, we should add this card, or we should do this, we should change this. And then we just did that every weekend for about 6 months, and after a while, we just wanted to play that game. So we ended up doing the Kickstarter, which still surprises me anybody gave him money, because we said a 7-year-old made this game, you know, they can't play it. How would they know it's any good? But I think people just love the idea of a kid making something. So once the Kickstarter was over, we ordered our inventory, and I decided, oh, I'll just order double what we need, and I'll send the rest into Amazon, and his, you know, grandparents and other people can buy it over time. This will be great. And I thought that would be the end of the journey, and so we shipped out the Kickstarter, and then we sent the rest of the inventory into Amazon, and it sold out like within a week, and we're like, oh, wait, okay, we're onto something here. We'll have to figure this out. So we've been selling on Amazon for about 6 years, and we sell in the US and in Canada, and we've sold over 1 million copies of the game on Amazon, and I'm just so thankful because we're a very small team, but we're able to make really large sales because of all the programs that Amazon offers. So we love it.
I love your story.
Thank you.
I love it. It's amazing that your son created just such a popular game and spent the time to really iterate on it and improve it.
I feel like it was a really, still surprises me to this day that he followed through on it. But yeah, it's great.
That's really cool. So turning to returnless resolutions, how did you first hear about it?
So I had reached out to a contact I had at Amazon because I knew there was something like this for fulfilled by merchants. And I thought, wow, this would be great for us if it was for FBA. And so I just happened to reach out, and they're like, funny you ask. Megan's about to start a pilot. And I was like, great, let me in. I want to do this. So it was kind of a perfect, I think it was like a week or two before you were launching. Yeah. So I was like, gosh, I'm so glad I reached out. So always bug all Amazon employees with all your questions. It seems to work out for me. So I'm just kidding.
So yes, I'm so thankful that we got connected at kind of, like you said, the perfect time for that. I think the best part of my job actually is working with sellers like you to get direct feedback and collaborate during much of the experimentation phases that we go through before having something that's ready to go to everybody. So thank you so much for all of that feedback.
Of course.
What stood out to you about returnless resolutions and made you want to try it?
Well, for us, it's really a no-brainer. We're in card games, right? So the cost of our actual product is less than the return to seller fee or the dispose fee. So it seemed to make sense just on paper that it would be a good fit. Additionally, because we sell card games, once a seller's opened the box, we can't be sure a card's not missing, so we're never going to resell it. We just want the best experience for every customer. And so for those reasons, it seemed to make a lot of sense to try something.
Yeah, that makes sense. When I first started envisioning this program, you are definitely the person I was thinking of sellers whose fees associated with returns were much higher than their cost of goods. So I'm, again, very thankful that we found you.
Yes,
so that you could try it early on. Did you have any concerns with using the program?
Well, I think any program you have a concern, right? Like you're starting something new, you don't know what the behavior is going to be. I worried that overall cost of refunds would go up because I didn't really contemplate how many people start a return but maybe just forget to return it, right? Like, am I going to be issuing returns for those? Is my cost of returns going to go up? I worried, you remember my emails. I was like, I had this whole laundry list of questions because I'm like, you get nervous. If I start the pilot, can I get out if it doesn't work? Like, what if all of a sudden this is bad? And you were like, no, you can get out easily. I love the fact that, I was worried it had to be for your whole catalog, but it's by ASIN, so I can pick which ones make the most sense. I worried that customers would learn about these returnless resolutions and maybe they're happy with the game, but they start a return process. And I worried our number of returns would go up, but it didn't. And then I really worried, my biggest worry was somebody's gonna order 10 or 100 units and then try to start a return and get issued a returnless resolution. And you were great at explaining to me that, they're guardrails that Amazon's been using for years on the products they sell and make themselves, and we benefit from those guardrails. So we monitored it really closely to make sure we didn't see any of those types of things happening, and we saw no issues. And then I guess the bottom line of everything is really the overall cost would go up. And in the end, we ended up saving quite a bit of money, and we expect to save quite a bit going forward. So it's been great.
Yeah, it's really exciting to hear that it's worked for you.
Yeah.
On the abuse side, I just want to double click on that one. We, as you mentioned, retail and Amazon-owned inventory has had returnless resolutions for quite a while. And so we've built the customer abuse guardrails for specifically that. And we've just extended those same guardrails to FBA as well. So it is all the same, so I'm glad that you saw that.
I love it.
And then on the enrollment piece, the making it easy to turn it off and on, we've kind of thoughtfully done that across all of our programs in returns and value recovery, where it's ASIN level enrollment. You can turn things off and on, and then since it's ASIN level enrollment, you can kind of see across your catalog what you've chosen to do.
Exactly.
Because
it makes so much sense because I could see you have one product that's great for a returnless resolution. Another product could be great for grade and resell, but you're not having to choose it on a catalog-wide system. So I love that.
Yeah. How did you measure success?
So for measuring success, we look always at our return rates and our refund rates, and then we look at our profit and loss statement just to make sure, that we're not ending up losing money. But one other area that we noticed was that we were having everything returned to us, and we had a small part of a warehouse that we would just take all those returns back. And like I said, the majority of them they're either going to get donated or they're going to get disposed. And I really felt like it was just a waste of our time. I think last year we spent about 100 hours just going through the boxes to decide which things got to go back, which things were gonna get donated and that kind of stuff. And very few of them were going back because most of the time they were open. So that was a huge deal to us that we didn't end up having to deal with that cost. And so we ended up saving, last year we ended up saving we expect by the end of this year we'll save over $10,000 just from 2 minutes of work, just to turn on the little thing. Actually, probably 2 seconds. I should be a little more realistic there.
2 minutes to click one button.
I'm very slow when I click. No, I'm just kidding.
That's amazing. And a very high ROI for such a little action.
Yeah, it was great.
Were there any unexpected benefits from the program?
Definitely. So we're in Climate Pledge, and one of the things that always bothered me was that if we were going to end up donating it or putting it somewhere, to have the customer have to send it back to Amazon, the Amazon to send it to us to send it someplace else. It's just a bunch of impact on the environment that doesn't need to happen. I'd rather the customer keep it. If they didn't like the game, give it to someone else. Maybe it's your neighbor's, favorite thing. Additionally, I thought, I really love the fact that, I'm a customer of Amazon, we all are, right? I really, the second I want to start a return, I'm like, oh, now I got to box it up. Now I have to choose which way I'm going to return it. So I really like that from a customer perspective. And we don't have any hard data yet about like how that affects reviews, but we imagine if you have a really seamless return policy or return process, maybe people are less likely to write a negative review. I'm hopeful. And once I have the data,
Yes.
I will definitely get it to you.
Once you have that, I would love to see it. And if anyone else has that as well, I would also like to be able to quantify
One
that.
other thing I didn't mention is I joined this in March.
Yeah.
And it was before the return threshold fee was going into place. And I just love this as a potential mechanism to get under that return threshold because you can turn it on and then turn it off if you needed to. In the end, once the return threshold rolled out, we were under it already. So that wasn't a need, but that was, I was super excited that we had that lever in case we ever encountered that.
Yeah, that is an unexpected
Yeah.
benefit of the program. Agree. So we're in our last question here, Leslie.
Yeah.
One more thing. Would you recommend returnless resolutions to others?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they make it so easy. I would look at your catalog and see if there's an opportunity there. Obviously, if you have a very expensive product that you might not be as good of a fit, might be great for grade and resell, but if you have a product, something in our realm where it seems to make sense, the great part is you can try it on small scale. Pick one ASIN, try it on that ASIN, both programs. You could just pick one ASIN, try it, and see what happens because it's so easy to turn on, turn off. You can choose which ASIN makes the most sense. If you're over that return threshold and incurring that fee, this is a great way. You could even turn it on for a few days in a month and get under that number and then not incur that fee. So that's another piece there. And, you know, it's a really customer forward approach. And I think at the end of the day, you'll see that your customers will be much happier with that process.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us,
Absolutely.
Leslie. And thank you for trusting me with your business during the
course.
experimentation phase of this program. And
Thank
for
you.
joining us on stage today.
Yeah, and thank you both for your work on creating these great programs for sellers. Now, that's one thing I love about Accelerate. You come and you see all the things that are going on behind the scenes that we don't usually see. And I just thank you guys for coming up with these very, seller-focused programs that really hit the mark. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Both.
And now I'd like to invite Kylie to join me back on stage. In today's session, we learned how these two FBA programs can help you simplify your returns process and allow you to give your products a second life.
Whether it's with Grade and Resell, where you can manage returns by grading and reselling items, creating a new stream of revenue, and freeing up valuable storage space.
Or with returnless resolutions, you can allow certain items to be refunded without needing them returned, reducing your operational overhead. Both of these programs have been carefully built with selling partner feedback, as well as an eye towards industry trends to address your most pressing pain points and drive your business forward.
We're committed to constantly refining our solutions, always working to enhance your experience and the outcomes on behalf of sellers. You can stop by our booth at Amazon Returns and Resell Programs to see how these programs can benefit you.